Okay, in these set of videos, we're going to show you how to do some basic programming using the Gaia, the SH-01. First, before we even get started with playing the keyboards, we would like to just show you kind of how it's broken down, because sometimes if you're new to synthesis, this can be kind of scary, a little intimidating. So let's break it down by the panels here. So the way this is broken down is this first panel right here. This is the oscillator, and this is where sound is generated from. So there's different types of waveforms, such as sawtooth, pulse width, square, noise, and supersaw. So these are some of the different sounds, and I'll give you an example of each one very quickly. So here we go. So as you can hear, all these different waveforms have a different type of sound. So this is kind of how we start off with creating our sounds. We find something that's kind of similar to what we want, or that we will end up molding into the sound that we want. So let's move over from oscillator to the next section, and notice there's a little arrow to kind of help you, is the filter section. Now what the filter section does, it shapes the sound. It shapes the sound. So we have low pass filter, high pass filter, band pass filter. So these different filters in here will shape it. And the best way I can explain that is get a water hose and you have the water shooting out of the water hose. When we crimp the water hose, it kind of changes the flow of the water. It changes how it comes out or how it shoots out. Same thing. So we'll take an oscillator and let's take something like, let's take a supersaw. If I have low pass, that's the low pass through and kind of filters the highs. We can adjust it just by using cutoff. See how it shapes the sound? And then once we adjust the cutoff, we can adjust how much it resonates. How much that sound resonates within the filter. So oscillator, that's what generates the sound. Filter shapes the sound. And then we get to the next section, which is amp. Amp, for me, is pretty much, that's volume. That's volume for that sound. And then also we have, in this section right here, our envelope section, how the sound reacts within the keys when you play. So how fast the sound attacks, it decays after the attack, how long it sustains, and the release. So we'll get into this a little bit later, but these right here are the building blocks of synthesis: oscillator, filter, and amplifier. Oscillator generates the tones you're going to use, filter shapes them, amp tells them how to react as far as loudness and how they react in the keys. Now this other panel right here, also very important. It's called low frequency oscillator. A lot of times when we see ask people to explain low frequency oscillator, it's very hard for them to explain. The way I explain it is very, very simple. This is your vibrato. So it makes the wave, it makes it shake. So let's listen to the supersaw we were just using. And let's adjust the pitch depth, so how much it shakes. So right now it's on nothing. And we can adjust the rate. Maybe we want to adjust the filter, how it shakes. So get into our filter depth. So right now it's going to be on nothing. So that's kind of like me coming over here to my filter section and maybe using the cutoff with my hand. So now instead of doing that with my hand, I can actually have it set in the LFO section. Adjust the rate of that. And that's how we do that. Now let's put this back to 0. And now let's look at the amp depth. So this is like me coming over here to my volume over here. Now look. Kind of cool, right? So this is just like a vibrato. So we can go ahead and adjust the pitch, which pitch is over here. We can adjust the filter from over here, and we can adjust the amp. Now we can do these either just one by themselves, or we can have combinations of them. So I can have a different LFO for pitch, filter, and depth. So the Gaia, the SH-01, This is the basics of synthesis. This is the basics, and we were just only using one of the 3 tones. So once again, oscillator, filter, amp, and LFO. Once you understand this, you can move to any synthesizer and control it like a master.